पिछले श्लोक में
In the
भगवान ने
previous verse, Bhagavan said,
हर एक व्यक्ति अपने स्वभाव का
every person
सदृश
follows his स्वभाव.
स्वस्या प्रकृतिर ज्ञानमपि प्रकृतिम यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किम करिष्यति। और उन्होंने कहा कि बाह्य रूप से आप अपनी इंद्रियों को
Bhagavan
दबाएं
said that externally you can
तो उससे
train your senses, but that is of no use.
प्रश्न आता है कि अगर सब प्रकृति से
So then the
चलता है
question may be raised, if everything is done by Prakriti,
हमारा तो वास्तव में कोई कर्तव्य नहीं रहा, हमारा कोई उत्तरदायित्व
then
नहीं
what
है।
is our responsibility?
मन में आता है वो प्रकृति के अनुसार ही आता है, तो वो हमको करना
Whatever
चाहिए।
comes to our mind is according to Prakriti, and then we should do that. And modern people also think like that.
निषेध बताया कि ऐसा
So the prescriptions and prohibitions which are given in Shastra, or whatever instructions are given in Shastra,
उनका
what is their use?
और अगर सब स्वभाव
And if everybody functions according to his swabhava only, then what will be the difference between human being and animal? Because animals function according to their swabhava. Animals never do anything against their swabhava. If an animal is vegetarian from birth, it will remain vegetarian. If an animal is non-vegetarian, it will remain non-vegetarian. Whatever is once prescribed food, the animals eat that only. So if humans also work like this, then what will be the difference between them and animals? But we see that human beings change. Vegetarians change to non-vegetarians, non-vegetarians change to vegetarians. When a child is born, he doesn't smoke cigarette, but when he grows up, he smokes cigarette, consumes wine, other he gets addicted to various types of intoxicants, gets into bad habits, so becomes so much addicted that he can't even give up. So he was not born with that swabhava.
बदलाव आ सकता है।
So this shows that some change is possible in human being.
पर भगवान यहाँ चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि किस
So
प्रकार
Bhagavan is discussing about that only, that how a human being should lead his life
जीवन में
so
प्रसन्न
that
रह सके
in this life he can live
इस जीवन के
peacefully,
बाद में
and after
दोबारा
this
से इस
life,
संसार सागर में ना पड़े।
and after at the end of this life he may not have to take birth again here.
राग द्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्न वशम आगच्छेत् तौ हि यस्य परिपन्थिनो। ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण
This is a very important verse and very practical verse to be applied in our life.
कहते हैं कि इंद्रियों का राग
Translation:
के संबंध
attachment and aversion pertaining to the sense faculties are rooted in their corresponding sensory objects.
नहीं आना चाहिए।
One should not come under the sway of such attachment and aversion, for they are impediments to the spiritual aspirant.
तो पशु पक्षी में और मनुष्य में ये अंतर
So,
होता है कि वो
this is the difference between human beings and animals.
अगर उनका राग
Animals,
भी तो स्वभाव ही
they do not function by raga dvesh. Even if you see some raga dvesh, that is their swabhava only. But human beings get implicated in raga dvesh.
भाव को तो उन्होंने कहा था कि आप बदल नहीं सकते हैं, लेकिन जो
So Bhagavan had said that you cannot change your swabhava, but whatever you do according to your swabhava, do not do that with raga and dvesh, with attachment and aversion. So pantha is marg, that is road, and the obstacles or the speed breakers on the road,
संस्कृत में परिपंथी।
they are known as paripanthi.
तो आजकल देखते हैं ना कि बड़े जगह जगह जो है
So nowadays we see that
आपको
there are so many speed breakers on the road, so then you have to slow down your vehicle.
मार्ग का
So that is paripanthi, that is the obstacle on the road.
तो उनके वश में ना आए।
So we should not come under the sway of such
आने का मतलब है कि
obstacles, attachment and aversion. Not coming under the sway means not functioning, being influenced by raga and dvesh.
उसको ना
Whatever is prescribed for us, we should do that. What is prohibited, we should not do that. But not out of raga dvesh.
क्या है
So what is this raga dvesh? We have to understand this properly.
तो ये दो प्रकार का है राग और
So raga dvesh, they are of two types. One is raga dvesh. Raga dvesh means
को अनुकूल लगता है
that some object appears favorable to us.
और अच्छी लगती
Whatever is favorable gives us sukha. So because it is favorable to us, we want it more. This is attachment. This is called raga. that which gives us sukha, which gives us happiness, gives pleasure, so we become attached to that. And that which does not give us happiness or gives us pain, we want to avoid that. That is unfavorable to us. So we have aversion for that or hatred for that. We want to stay away from that or some person because that gives us pain, that is unfavorable to us. Whatever gives unfavorable feeling is dukkha. Whatever gives us favorable feeling is sukha. And dukkha leads to dvesha. Pain leads to aversion of the object. We want sukha, we want happiness. That's why we have attachment for that. So actually, raga and dvesh are with sukha and dukkha, and we have those samskaras within. This raga dvesh is of two types. One is that which is natural, which is required for our existence. If we do not have that, we cannot exist. For example, if something is very hot and you touch that, immediately you will pull away your hand. Why? Because you do not like that. So, this is required for sustenance of our life. We have not practiced this. We are born with this. Every sense, all the senses that we have, they like something and they do not like something. If something is very hot, we do not like that. If something is very cold, we do not like that. So we have dvesha for something that is too hot as well as too cold. But this dvesha and the raga or attachment that we have for something that is of balanced temperature, we have not practiced this raga dvesh. We are born with this. This is required for our life sustenance. Similarly, all our senses, if smell something and we may not like that because it is not good for our body, naturally we stay away from that. If some sound is some too loud, we may not like that. If some food is too bitter, we not like that. Why? Because for our health, for our life sustenance, it may be dangerous. And some there are some things which we naturally like. So this is natural ragadvesh, which does not cause any problem. The other ragadvesh is born from samskaras, which we have practiced. Like somebody becomes addicted to smoking, drinking, so they may become addicted to that. First time they did not like that. So this is ragadvesh that is born from practice, abhyas. So similarly, he says that the ragadvesh that Bhagavan is speaking of is this ragadvesh which is born from samskaras, which we have practiced. So we should not fall under the sway of this type of ragadvesh. So in the previous verse he had said that we cannot surpass our swabhava, but then at the same time he also says that we should not get implicated in ragadvesh, because in the upcoming verses he will say that work according to your swadharma. So whatever is our prescribed duty, we should do that. Whatever is prescribed in Shastra, we should do that. So that will be beneficial to us. Because Shastra is for our benefit.
बारे में बहुत कम पता है।
We know very
अलग
little about
सिद्धांत
our
हैं
life, what
कि
will be
स्वास्थ्य
beneficial for us,
मनुष्य को
what is
कैसे
actually
स्वस्थ
of
रखता है।
benefit to us. Human beings do not know much about this,
शास्त्र हमको ये बताता
but
है।
Shastra advises us.
जैसे आप कोई उपकरण खरीदें, गैजेट,
Like if
तो
you
उसके
purchase
साथ
any
में
gadget,
पुस्तिका आती है
along with that you get a
कि
manual
कैसे उपयोग करना है
how to use that,
और कैसे उसको उपयोग नहीं करना है। अगर वो
or and
120 वोल्ट
how
पर चलता है
not
तो
to
उसको
use that. If it
108
operates
वोल्ट पर
under
करना लगाना
220
है,
volts, do not
110 वोल्ट
plug
पर
it into
चलता है
300
तो
volts.
120 में
If
डाल के
something works under
निकालना है।
110 volts, do not plug
तो
it
इसी
in a
प्रकार
socket of
मनुष्य
220
भी जो
volts,
है
otherwise it will
उपकरण
burn.
है।
Similarly, our
इसको
body is
डिजाइन
also
भगवान ने
a
बनाया था।
machine, an instrument which has
तो
been
इसके
designed
साथ
by
में भगवान ने
Bhagavan.
हमको एक पुस्तिका दी है
So along
कि
with
कैसे
that, he
उपयोग
has
करना है,
given
कैसे
a
उसको
manual
नहीं करना।
how
तो
to use
शास्त्र
it
वही
and
बताता है
how
कि क्या
not to
ठीक
use
है,
it.
क्या गलत है, क्या
So that
करना
is
चाहिए,
what
क्या
Shastra
नहीं करना
teaches.
चाहिए।
What should be
उसका
done, what
प्रभाव
should
क्या
not be
है
done. We
आपको पता नहीं
naturally do
चलेगा।
not know that.
आप नहीं
If
जानते
we
हो आप उसको
get any gadget, you do not know
देखने
how
से
to operate it. How will you understand what is the correct way of
उपकरण
using it?
बेकार हो जाएगी,
You may
पानी अंदर चला
immerse
जाएगा,
it in water
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक
and the gadget may get destroyed
तो
if
इसलिए
it's an
कहते हैं हिल
electrical
स्टेशन
equipment.
या बहुत ज़्यादा गर्म जगह या मैग्नेट के पास, इससे लिखते हैं ना उस प्रकार से।
Like in some
तो
equipments,
वो
it is
जानता है कि
written, do
क्या
not
चीज़
bring
उसको
it near any
नुकसान
magnet.
पहुंचाएगा।
So the
तो
one who
उसका
has
प्रभाव
designed the
कैसे पड़ता
instrument
है
knows
हमारी
what
बॉडी
may
पे,
cause harm to that
तो इस
equipment.
चीज़ का
So
शास्त्र
similarly,
उसका
Shastra tells
प्रभाव
us
पड़ता है,
what
हमको शास्त्र
gives,
बताता है।
what is
और
beneficial to our mind, our intelligence, what is harmful, and Shastra
इसलिए
tells all
जानना
this for our own benefit.
आवश्यक है।
That is why it is very
संस्कृत
important
में
to
न्याय
have
कहते हैं
knowledge
बलवद
of Shastra.
अनिष्ट
In Nyaya,
अनुबंधित्व ज्ञानाभाव जिसका होगा तो वो विहित कर्म को नहीं करेगा, निषिद्ध निषिद्ध को करेगा।
so
यानी
such
कि
a
इस
person,
बलवद अनिष्ट के जो काम आप कर रहे हैं उसको करने से आपको कुछ लाभ होता दिखाई देता है, लेकिन उसका जो अनुबंधी है, उसका जो परिणाम है वो बहुत हानिकारक है। तो शास्त्र कहता है उसको मत करो।
the Shastra
जैसे
says do
मान लो
not do that. Like say
भोजन
there is
करने में
food, nice food.
मीठा मिठाई तो आप
It
उसको
may be
देखते
sweet
हैं,
and you see
केक है,
that.
चॉकलेट है,
Let's say there is a cake or a
तो
chocolate.
देख के लगता
So
है
you
कि इसको खा
see
लो,
and you
आपको
desire
पता
to
है कि
eat
स्वाद अच्छा है।
because you know it
लेकिन
tastes
अगर कोई
nice.
आपको बताए कि इसमें
But
जहर
if
मिला हुआ
somebody
है
says that there
तो
is
आप खाएंगे?
poison in that, will you eat?
नहीं खाएंगे।
You will not eat.
कोई मूर्ख ही खाएगा,
Some fool only
जिसको
will eat.
थोड़ी भी बुद्धि होगी, अगर उसको पता चल
One
जाए
who
कि
has
इसमें
even little
ये
intelligence, and if he comes to know that
हानिकारक
there
वस्तु
is
मिली हुई है, केमिकल
some
या जहर मिला हुआ है, तो
dangerous
वो
element, some
अलग
chemical
करेगा,
or poison
नहीं
inside the
खाएगा।
cake, he will not eat. Although that is also sweet,
उसमें मीठा मीठा भी है, वो अच्छा टेस्ट
that
उसका
poison may
है,
have
जहर
sweet
नहीं है।
also.
तो जहर तो आपको दिखता नहीं है, स्वाद तो आप
So you can't
देख
see
सकते हैं,
the
लेकिन टेस्ट तो
poison,
पता नहीं चलेगा ना
you
आपको।
can feel the taste, but
जहर
you
का
do not
प्रभाव बाद में
understand the
आएगा,
poison. The
स्वाद तो
poison's
तुरंत
effect
मिलता है।
will come later. Taste
तो
will be
वही करके हम
experienced
ऐसा होता है कि
immediately.
हम अपने जो
So generally, this is what
व्यवहार, जो
happens
चीज हमको अभी अच्छी लगती है उसको
by
सोचते
our
हैं कि ये
swabhava,
आपात रमणीय है,
whatever we like in Sanskrit that is known as
तुरंत ही
apataramaniya.
अट्रैक्टिव आकर्षक लगती है, तो
It
हम उसको
appears very
पसंद
attractive
करते हैं, लेकिन उसका
immediately.
परिणाम गलत होता है। तो शास्त्र उसी को
So
बताता
we
है कि
consume
बलवद
that,
अनिष्ट
but later
अनुबंधित,
it gives
उसका
harmful
परिणाम जो
effect.
है वो अनिष्ट
So
होगा,
Shastra teaches
बलवान है।
that these
लेकिन
such and such
ज्ञान होगा
substances
अगर हम
will
उसको नहीं
have
करेंगे,
very dangerous effect later.
तो
So
फिर हम
when we have proper
वही
knowledge
करते
of
हैं जो
that,
आप करते हैं।
then we will
फिर
not
वही करो जो
associate
आप
with
करोगे,
such
उसको
of
करने से
things.
आपको क्या होगा।
So this is what Shastra teaches. This,
तो
if you
हमारे
use
शास्त्रों
this
में
or if you do
कहीं
this, what
आए
will be
देवों
the
की,
damage that will
देवताओं की,
happen later?
तो ये इसी
So
को दिखाने के
whatever
लिए था
stories we
कि
have in
इसको ऐसा
Shastra,
करें,
stories of
ऐसा करें,
devatas,
तो
asuras,
उसका
they
परिणाम
are meant to
ऐसा
teach
होगा।
that only, how the asuras
आप
perform
अच्छे काम
prohibited
देख
activities
सकते हैं
and
रास्ते
what
में,
result they
तो उसका
face.
परिणाम क्या होगा,
Whatever nice
चाहे
activities,
वो
the
भगवान के
prescribed
मंदिर में जाते
activities
हैं, चाहे
devatas do, sages do,
मंदिर
what
के
is their
बाहर
result?
हैं,
Whether it is Mahabharata,
तो
Ramayana,
शास्त्र में वही
Puranas,
है,
whatever
रावणीवत वर्तते
leelas are there,
रावणवादीवत, कि
this is
रावण की
their
तरह व्यवहार
essence,
कीजिए, रावण की तरह
that
व्यवहार मत
behave
कीजिए।
like Ram, not like
तो
Ravana.
शास्त्र हमको ये केवल विधि निषेध ही बताता है।
So
शास्त्र
Shastra
का
is
जो
simply
सार है
teaching prescriptions and prohibitions. What is to be done and what is not to be done, or what is to be avoided. Because we do not know that.
तो हम पशुवत जीवन जिएंगे
If
और
we
कष्ट
simply work according to our prakriti, then our life will be like animals and we will become miserable. Actually, animals don't suffer as much as human beings suffer. Animals do not need any hospital or any court or police or army. They do not need all this. They do not have to go to any school or college, but they live normally. They do not fall sick like us.
हम वास्तव में पशुवत भी नहीं जी सकते हैं.
So actually, we don't even live like animals. Actually, even if we live like animals, society will function normally because animals do not attack anybody else unnecessarily. It is not that animals of one forest attack the animals of other forest in order to gain control there. It doesn't happen like that. Or they go to some other forest to steal something. So actually, human beings can't even live like animals. That is why there are so many problems in the society, because we do not follow Shastra, and without Shastra we cannot even live like animals. So we are worse than animals. This is called Asura. So Asura means one who just lives in his prana, one who always derives pleasure in his own prana, his own sense enjoyment. Nothing more than that. That is Asura. So Shastra teaches us how we can change our pravrittis, our inclinations, our lifestyle. Now,
जो काम है, इन्होंने भगवान ने कहा कि राग द्वेष अर्थ में है.
Bhagavan says that raga dvesh are in artha, the sense objects.
विषय में है. व्यवस्था
That's
मतलब
attachment and aversion. They are rooted in their corresponding sensory objects. So whatever is favorable, there you have raga. Whatever is unfavorable, there you have dvesha. But in reality, raga dvesh are not in the sense objects. Bhagavan is telling this to give us a very gross vision or understanding. Because if raga dvesh would have been in the sense objects, everybody would have a raga for that particular object or dvesh. Like in sugar, there is sweetness. So sugar will taste sweet for everyone. In salt, there is salty taste. So it will taste salty for everyone. It is not that for some people, sugar tastes salty, for some people, sugar tastes sweet. It doesn't happen like that. But we see when in the case of sense objects, that the one particular sense object, for one particular sense object, one person may have attachment, other may have aversion. Somebody likes drinking wine and somebody hates even the smell of wine. Somebody derives a lot of pleasure in meat eating, but somebody else, the other person, may start vomiting even by seeing meat. So if raga dvesh would have been in the object, but because of the sense object, the raga dvesh appears. That's why it is explained like that. So is raga dvesh in our indriyas? Actually, raga dvesh are not even in the indriyas, not even in the senses, because raga dvesh that keeps changing. Because in the senses, if there would have been raga for some object, then always we would have attachment for that. But we see that some things that we liked in our childhood, now we do not like that. Earlier we liked some type of music, but now we do not like that. Earlier we liked some people, but now we do not like that. Some activities or some type of food that we did not like earlier, now we may like that. So if we would have raga for in the indriyas, then we would always have raga for that particular object. So then the question is, where is raga dvesh? It is in the mind. Bhagavan also said,
मन में गए हुए हैं ये काम, काम मतलब राग, काम क्रोध जो शब्द दो प्रयोग किए
Kama
जाते
means raga. The Kama and Krodh, which are explained in Shastra, they are offspring of Raga and Dvesh only. Kama is from Raga and Krodh comes from Dvesh.
किसी के प्रति हमारी प्रीति हो जाती है,
So is it in the mind? So it is not like that also, because we see for some people, sometimes we are friend, then we are enemy.
रहता है,
Earlier there was so much of love between two brothers, but later they become enemies.
माँ बाप के साथ ऐसे हो जाता है।
It
अभी
may happen with parents also.
कि एक व्यक्ति ने
Now I just read a news recently that a person,
और
he murdered
सोते समय
his sister, mother and father. It was just 2 days back. Why?
कि वो कुछ गेम खेल रहा था,
Because he was playing some game on his mobile phone.
देर हो गई तो
It was too late,
कहा कि ये बंद कर,
and the father said, "Stop this and
उसको
go to
बहुत
sleep."
गुस्सा है,
So he became so angry.
उसको तीनों को सोते समय मार दिया।
So at the night when all three were sleeping, he murdered them.
तो अब पहले जब वो बच्चा था, ये तो अभी
So earlier, when he was a child, before this state, this person was some
लेकिन
adult,
बचपन में माँ बाप
but when he was child, then he must have loved his sister and parents so much. But now he murdered them. So it happened with mind only.
क्रोध आया,
He became angry.
मन जिसमें पहले राग था वो
First there was anger in the mind. Earlier there was raga, but now there was anger.
बदलते रहता
So this raga dvesh keep changing in the mind also.
है। जिस व्यक्ति के
There is duality.
राग है उसी के प्रति द्वेष भी हो
Earlier we may have raga for one person, then later we get dvesh.
थोड़ा चुप होके बैठा रहता है,
When raga is there, then dvesha remains silent. But when dvesha appears, then raga remains silent.
लेकिन अगर वास्तव में राग मन में ही
But actually, if raga was in the mind only,
और द्वेष ही होता तो द्वेष ही होता,
then there would be raga only and not dvesh. Or if there was dvesh, there would be dvesh only. So raga dvesh are not in the mind also. So then the question is, where
मूल स्रोत
are raga and dvesh situated? So the main root cause of raga and dvesh, that is avidya,
तरीके से पतंजलि जी ने अपने योग
which
सूत्र में
has been explained in an excellent manner by Patanjali Rishi.
अस्मिता, राग द्वेष अभिनिवेश पंच क्लेश, 5 क्लेशों का जो
So he
वर्णन
explains
करते हैं,
5 kleshas.
तो उनमें राग द्वेष
There,
तीसरे और चौथे हैं।
raga and dvesh are third and fourth respectively.
स्रोत यानी कि
And their origin
वो है अविद्या,
is avidya.
और अविद्या का मतलब है अपने स्वरूप का
And avidya means
अज्ञान,
ignorance of our own swarupa.
आत्मा हूँ ये अज्ञान,
I am Atma,
और मैं
not knowing this, that I am Atma,
यही अविद्या,
and knowing, thinking that I am body. So avidya is of two types. One is avaran and other is vikshep. By avaran,
आवृत हो जाता है,
our swarup gyan gets covered, and vikshep
प्रकट हो जाता है,
means what we are not, that appears to us.
ग्रंथि बोलते हैं।
So this is known as chit jad granthi.
आत्मा जो चेतन है,
Atma, which is conscious, it assumes itself to be jada or matter. So this is avidya, and this gives rise to asmita. Asmita means the I-ness, and the raga dvesh begin from there only.
तो ये इसका मूल स्रोत है।
So this is the root cause of raga and dvesh.
अनुकूल सब उस अहंता में बैठे रहते हैं।
So this favorable and unfavorable, they are all situated in the ahamta, the I-ness.
उसके बाद में राग
When we think ourselves to be the body, then there is raga and dvesh.
राग द्वेष से ही हमारी अहंता का पोषण भी होता है।
And raga and dvesha, they get nourishment from our ahamta, the I-ness. When we are angry towards somebody, we may beat that person and we may kick that person, and we may feel very we may feel very proud that I hit that person, I kicked that person so nicely. So raga and dvesh, they are tonic for the ahankara. They appear from there and they nourish the ahankara.
तो उससे फिर आदमी बहुत अपने को सोचता है कि मैंने कुछ कर लिया, वास्तव में किया हुआ कुछ
Due to
नहीं है।
that, the human being thinks that I have achieved something great in life. Actually, he has achieved nothing great.
तो
He
वो जो
has
स्रोत है
caused harm to himself only.
अहंता है, वहां से फिर ये बुद्धि
So
बनते हैं,
their origin
मन
is
में
the
आते हैं,
ahamta, the ahankar.
इंद्रियों में आते हैं, और फिर विषय।
So then they appear in the
इसलिए
mind,
आगे आके
and
आता
then
है
in the
इंद्रिय
senses,
से
and then
इंद्रिय
in the
से
sense
राग
objects.
द्वेष आगे इसी अध्याय में कहेंगे इंद्रियाणि मनोबुद्धि
Later in
रसो,
this
और
chapter,
कुछ
Bhagavan
दूसरे
will
अध्याय में
say
आगे जाके
in the same chapter
कि इंद्रिय मन और बुद्धि
later that
इसके अधिष्ठान है,
Indriya,
बैठने का
mind,
स्थान है राग
and
द्वेष।
buddhi, they are the seats of
पहले बताया
Raga
था ना,
Dvesh.
प्रजहाति यदा कामान मनोगतान
Earlier he told
वासनाम,
about the mind.
तो पहले मन में बताया,
First he
लेकिन
said that they are in the
स्रोत
mind,
वास्तव में अविद्या है,
but actually their fundament, their
परिणाम
main origin,
देन
their root
बुद्धि।
cause is avidya only.
तो उसको हमें समझना है
So that is what we have
कि
to
ये
understand
कहाँ से आते हैं। इसलिए
from where they
किसी के
arise.
मन को आप समझ सकते हैं उसके राग द्वेष को देखकर,
So
पूर्व जन्म
you can understand the mind of a person by
कि
understanding
पिछले
his
जन्म से
raga
हमारे क्या थे,
dvesh,
हमारे
and
संस्कार
you
क्या
can
थे,
even
जिसकी
infer
वजह से
something
हम
about his
अपने
previous
संस्कार
birth, because samskaras are carried forward from previous
और
births,
कुछ पूर्व
and
जन्म
some
से आते हैं
samskaras are newly created in
जो
this
विचार
life,
आते हैं उनके अनुसार
and
हम
whatever is coming from the
और
previous birth, when we function according to that, then they become more
अगर हम उन
strong
पे कोई नियंत्रण ना रखें, और फिर ऐसे ही एक
if we do
चक्र
not
चलता
keep a
जाता है,
control over
पालन
them.
पोषण उनका हो जाता है
So
बहुत अच्छा,
similarly, this cycle continues,
कुछ उनको
and
शरीर
if the
मिलता है, उसमें बहुत
samskaras are
अच्छा, कुछ
nourished
आपको एक
and they become very
शरीर मिलता है
strong,
उसमें वो
then you will
बहुत
not get the human body, you will get an animal body which is
और
very much
ये
suited
जितनी भी
for
प्राणी
that
हैं ना,
strong samskara.
ये एक प्रकार से अलग
All
अलग
these
प्रकार के
animal species which are
मनोवृत्तियां हैं,
there, they are nothing but different
इन्हीं
kinds,
मनोवृत्तियों के
different
कारण
states of
हमें
the
जन्म लेना
mind.
पड़ता है, यम यम वापस
Because
आना
according
पड़ता
to
है।
the state of
तो
mind, we
भाव
get
रहित
the
होते
next
हैं,
body.
तो गाय
So
का
the body is given according to the bhav,
उनका अपना
whether it
स्वभाव
is
बदल जाता
cow
है,
or dog or
वृत्ति
cat. They all have their own
इसलिए
vrittis,
फिर
states of mind.
शरीर में वो बदल नहीं सकते, और उनका जो
So they
प्रबल
cannot
वृत्ति है,
change
स्वभाव है, उसी
in
से
that body. So
क्योंकि
they function
मनुष्य में
according to
ऐसा
that
है।
vritti only.
तो भगवान बताते
Because
हैं कि
earlier when they were in the human body, they had that
ये
type of desire.
सूटेबल
So that is why
उसके
Bhagavan gives a body which is suitable
अनुरूप
for
जाता है,
that particular vritti which is very
जैसे नरेंद्र जी
strong.
कहेंगे ये
Because
प्रतियोगी है,
if
ये
you are in the
ऐसा
human
है,
body, then people
ऐसा
will
है,
always accuse you, you
तो
are
अपना
very
स्वभाव बदल
angry, you are
जाएगा।
this or that.
तो आप
But then
देखोगे
if you become a snake,
वो कहता है कि अरे
then no matter how much anger you display,
वो तो
nobody
सामान्य
will
प्रकृति
accuse
है,
you that, oh, you are so angry.
समस्या
So
नहीं है।
because you're a snake, then it's snake will function like that only. Or if
तो
somebody is a dog,
वो
then dog's nature is to
समझ
bark.
जाते हैं कि चलो
Nobody will criticize him for
ऐसा है।
that. So Bhagavan gives
इसलिए ये राग
a
द्वेष
suitable body according to the strong vritti
समझना
of the
पड़ेगा,
person.
और ये इंद्रिय से दो
So we
प्रकार
have
के
to
होते हैं,
understand Rag Dvesh properly.
प्रत्येक इंद्रिय, या ये समझिए कर्म इंद्रिय और ज्ञान इंद्रिय, दो प्रकार की इंद्रियां, तो
So
दो
two types
इंद्रिय
of senses are there, the
इंद्रिय
knowledge acquiring
ज्ञान
senses
कर्म
and
इंद्रिय।
the action
तो इसमें
oriented
कर्म इंद्रिय
senses.
तो जो वो है जिसकी आंख है,
So
देखती
the
है,
Gyanendriyas,
इंद्रियां
the knowledge acquiring senses, they
इन
see.
दोनों का मिलके
Karmendriyas,
जैसे
they
वो
are
अंधा
blind.
पंगु न्याय,
So but they
एक
both function
अंधा है
together.
दूसरा लंगड़ा है,
So blind and lame,
तो
they work
लंगड़ा वास्तव
together.
में वो अंधे के कंधे पर बैठ जाता है,
So the lame person is sitting
और
on the
उसको
shoulders of the
बोलता है कि
blind
चलो उधर चलो, वो चलता है। तो ऐसे
person. So
हमारे
the
जीवन
lame
में
person directs the blind
अगर
person, and the blind person walks according to the
ज्ञान इंद्रिय की
direction.
आंख है लेकिन उसके पैर नहीं है, कर्म इंद्रिय
So
की
the
आंख है लेकिन उसके
Gyanendriyas,
पैर
they
नहीं
have
है,
the eye, but they cannot walk. Karmendriyas can walk, but they
आप
cannot
देखिए
see.
सामने
So
केक
they
है,
both work together. So you
हाथ
see
बढ़ेगा,
that there is a
हाथ
cake.
ने तो देखा नहीं है,
So your hand moves
हाथ
ahead.
ले नहीं सकता,
So hand cannot
तो
see
आप
and
देखिए
eyes
उसको
cannot
हाथ
grab.
कहते हैं, कहते
So
हैं
eye
दोनों
and
हाथ
hand,
मिलके
they
काम
work
करते हैं।
together.
अगर एक ही होता
If it would have been one
इसलिए
only,
उसको भूत बोलते हैं,
then how do you
भूत
work?
प्रेत होते हैं,
So then
तो
that
देखते नहीं
person
है,
is called a ghost. The ghost
तो
can
उसको बड़ा
see
कष्ट
but
होता है
cannot do
कि आपने केक
anything.
देख लिया लेकिन
That's
आपको
why the
हाथ नहीं
ghost
है,
suffers miserably. He can
अब क्या करें।
assume that you can see the
तो
cake,
इसलिए
but you do
छोटे
not
बच्चे
have
को बोलते
hands
हैं
to pick up the cake.
कि
That is
दशा
why
इंद्रिय
children want to grow up so that they can
तो ये
control
ये दो
others.
बार इन्होंने कहा, इंद्रिय
That's
से
why
आगे
Bhagavan
राग
speaks
द्वेष
twice.
व्यवस्थित हो। अब इसमें वो कहते हैं कि इनके वश में मत आइए आप।
So
क्यों?
Bhagavan says, do
ये
not
परिपंथी हैं।
come under the control of this Raga
परिपंथी का
Dvesh
मतलब,
because
परिपंथी
they are
जैसे मैंने कहा
obstacles,
परिपंथी का मतलब होता है डाकू।
roadblocks.
डाकू भी तो रास्ते में आपको रोक
So
के
Paripanthi also
आपको
means
लूट
the
लेते हैं।
dacoits. They stop you on the road and they will plunder your wealth. One is thief and other is
और दोनों में
dacoit.
क्या अंतर है?
What is the difference between a
चोर
thief and a
चोर
dacoit? Thief
आपको
steals
बताएं।
in hiding. You won't realize there is a thief.
खड़े
But dacoit loots in the daylight.
जब कंट्रोल करके
So he will control you and he will
चोर ऐसे
plunder your
बोलते
wealth.
हैं, चोर बोलते हैं। तो अब इस लुटेरे को आप प्यार से अपने अंदर रखे हुए हो।
So you have given a nice safe place to this dacoit in your heart.
राग द्वेष को भगवान कहते हैं कि लुटेरे हैं।
Bhagavan says these Rag and
इन्होंने
Dvesh, they
आपको
are
डिजिटली अरेस्ट किया
dacoits.
हुआ है।
So they have digitally arrested you.
तो डिजिटल अरेस्ट में क्या होता है?
So what happens
व्यक्ति
in
आपको
digital
डराता है,
arrest that the person,
लेकिन
the criminal,
ऐसे नहीं
he
डराता कि आपको
scares
कुछ
you,
हानि करेगा।
but he
वो
will not
डराता है
scare you in a way
कि
that he will cause some damage to you. He will say that, see, you are going
आपने
to
किया,
go
इसलिए
to
इसको
jail, you have done this crime, so now you should
इतने
listen
पैसे
to
अपने
me
अकाउंट में डाल
and
दो,
you transfer so and
मैं सब कुछ
so
देख लूंगा।
amount to me, and then I will take care of your
लेकिन
problem.
किसी को मत बताना है,
And do not tell to anybody else.
चुपचाप रहना और हर एक घंटे मेरे को
Remain
रिपोर्ट
quiet
देते रहो तुम
and
कहाँ हो।
every hour give me report where you are, what you are doing.
तो अभी और हमारी बात सुनो बस,
And just
और
listen to
किसी से
me.
बात मत करो।
Do not talk to anybody
राग
else.
द्वेष भी ऐसे ही है।
So Ragadvesha are like
बड़े
these
प्रेम से हमने
criminals
इनको
only.
बिठाया हुआ है,
We have given them
ये
nice,
हमारे बहुत
comfortable place in our heart
अतिथि
as
हैं,
if they are
या
very
रिश्तेदार हैं।
respectable,
और
not even guests.
किसी को दिखाना
We
नहीं है
treat them as our
कि हमारा
relatives,
राग है
and we do
द्वेष है।
not want to show
और
to
आप किसी से
anybody
द्वेष करते हैं तो उसको
that
जाके
we have
बताइए कि
raga
मैं
and
तुमसे
dvesh
द्वेष
for
करता
such
हूँ।
person. So if you have dvesh envy for somebody, will you
तो
tell that person that
ये
you are
लोग
jealous of him or
दिखावे
her?
के चक्कर में आ जाते हैं।
So fools are those who come under
जैसे
the
हम लोग
sway of
बंधे
such
हैं,
criminals. Similarly, we are
दिखावे के
also
चक्कर में आए
fools
हुए हैं,
because we have come under the control
लेकिन
of these
उनका
two
शोषण नहीं
criminals,
करते।
Raga and Dvesh, and we do not even
क्यों नहीं
bother
सोचते हैं?
to get out of their
क्योंकि हम उनको
clutches.
अपना हित
Why we do
समझते
not
हैं।
try? Because we actually treat these two as our
जिसने
well
डिजिटल
wishers.
अरेस्ट किया हो उसको तो आप हितैषी मानते हैं,
One who has digitally arrested you, you actually treat that person as your well
उसके
wisher.
विरुद्ध में आप नहीं बोलेंगे।
So you will obviously not speak
और आप
against
कहें भी
that
उसको कि
person.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं है,
Even if
बहुत अच्छा आदमी है,
somebody else
ऐसा
tells
नहीं है,
that no, he is a criminal, then you will
इसलिए आप
say no,
किसी
he
को
is a nice person. How can you speak like
दिखाएं
that?
कि आप ये गलत काम कर रहे हैं,
So
शास्त्र
if
विरुद्ध है,
you show to
सनातन धर्म
somebody
विरुद्ध
that
है,
what you are doing is wrong, this is against
तो आप
Shastra,
जानते हैं
then
कि
you
ये जो
immediately reply, no,
जो
no,
मैं कर रहा हूँ ये तो मेरे
how can you
भले के
speak
लिए है,
like this?
मैं
What I am
निस्वार्थ
doing is actually
सेवा
for my
करने
own
के लिए कर रहा
benefit.
हूँ,
If I drink
मैं ये नहीं
wine,
कर सकता,
I my tension
समाज की
goes
सेवा नहीं
away.
कर
Then
सकता,
only I can work. Otherwise, with all
ऐसे
that
ऐसे
tension,
बोलते
I
हैं।
cannot work. So they will give all kinds
ये
of
सब बोल के
bogus
लोग इसको
excuses.
मूर्ख बनाते हैं ना, आपकी
So
बुद्धि का हरण कर लेते
so
हैं,
this is how people get
बुद्धि का
fooled.
अपहरण हो जाता है।
Their
तो इसलिए भगवान
intelligence
कहते हैं
is
कि इनके
kept stolen away.
वश में मत आइए आप, क्योंकि ये आएंगे।
That's why Bhagavan is saying that do not come under the control of this
ऐसे
raga
करने
dvesh.
आएंगे,
So
और
they will
इसका
approach you,
उपाय क्या
but you
है?
do not bow down to them.
अपनी बुद्धि का उपयोग
So
कीजिए।
what is the solution? The
भगवान ने
solution
आपको
to
बुद्धि दी है,
protect oneself from raga and dvesh is to use buddhi.
विद्या युक्ता
Bhagavan has given us buddhi.
प्रहस्यसि। पहले ही उन्होंने सूत्र हमको बता दिया है कि आप अपनी बुद्धि का उपयोग कीजिए तो आप इन
Earlier
लुटेरों
only
से
Bhagavan said that use your buddhi. That is the sutra. Then you will
बुद्धि का
stay safe
उपयोग करने का
from
मतलब
these
है कि
criminals raga and
बुद्धि का
dvesh.
समर्थन मत
So
कीजिए।
using buddhi means
राग
do not
द्वेष
support your
आपको
feelings of raga and
दिखावे
dvesh.
दिखाएंगे
Raga dvesh will tell you
अकाउंट नंबर मेरे को
that
बताइए,
tell your account
इतने
number to
पैसे मेरे
me,
अकाउंट में,
transfer so and
ट्रांसफर
so
करा
this
दीजिए,
much amount in
ऐसे
my
बोलते हैं
account.
डिजिटल अरेस्ट में।
Like this they
राग
speak
द्वेष
in
वाले आपको
digital arrest.
बताएंगे कि ये
So
कीजिए,
similarly Raga
इसको
dvesh
इसको खरीदो,
will tell you
इसको खाओ,
that purchase
इस
this,
व्यक्ति को
eat
ऐसे करो।
this, do
तो उनकी
behave
बातों
like
को
this with such person. So do not listen to your to the voice of raga and
जो
dvesh.
भी निर्णय आप
Rather,
लेते हैं
use your buddhi.
उसमें ये सोचिए
Whatever
कि ये
decision
मैं
you
राग
take,
राग द्वेष के
think
प्रभाव से ले रहा
that
हूँ
am I taking this
या मैं
decision
इसलिए ले रहा हूँ कि
by the
इससे
influence of raga dvesh,
मेरा
or
प्रयोजन सिद्ध होगा
because it will actually help
पहले
me
तो हमारा
to
मूल
progress
प्रयोजन
towards
होना
achieving
चाहिए
my goal. So, first of all, our
कि
goal should be clear to
क्या मेरा
us.
प्रयोजन
In
है
our
जीवन का
spiritual path,
हमको
our
आत्यंतिक सुख की प्राप्ति
goal
हो
is to get atyantika sukha
और हम
or
भगवत भाव में
moksha,
हमको
or in
भगवत प्रीति
bhakti, in the
प्राप्त
path
हो
of bhakti, our
तो
goal
हमारा
is to
उद्देश्य
achieve Bhagavad
स्पष्ट होना
Priti.
चाहिए जब उद्देश्य
So, our
स्पष्ट
goal
नहीं
should
होगा
be clear to
तो मैं
us.
ऐसे
When
फंस
our
जाता
goal
हूँ
is not clear, then
क्योंकि ये
we
लोग हमको
get implicated in this ragadvesh, because
शायद
these criminals,
15%
they give us some they allure us
और
also.
आपको 5-6
They will
परसेंट
say
देंगे
that we will give you 15% interest, bank only gives you
तो
5 to
आप फिर
6%,
प्रलोभन में आ जाते
we
हैं
will give you
कि ऐसे लोगों के
15%
पास
or
पैसा है शायद
20%.
आपको कुछ
So
लाभ
then
होने वाला है
you get
और
allured
जो
by such
जो
offers.
आपके पास है उसको छीन लेते
Similarly,
हैं
nothing will happen. Whatever you have, they will take that away also.
और हम
So
सोचते हैं
similarly,
कि
Raga Dvesh will take away your human life
हम मर
also.
जाएंगे
Out of Raga Dvesh, you
नष्ट हो
will
जाएंगे
destroy your life, you will
और जो
die,
भजन साधन
and
करते हैं
you'll
उसमें
go away empty-handed. And now, how will you
इसलिए
do your
हम
bhajan
लोग
sadhan?
कहते हैं
Because you
कि आप
lost that human form
10
of
से 20
life.
मिनट बैठ करके ये जो
So
राग
whatever
द्वेष
decision you take,
या
before
ये
implementing that
राग
decision,
या
you
द्वेष
should sit
जो भी
quietly
है
for 2 minutes and reflect, introspect,
किसी ने
that
ईमेल भेजा
whatever I am doing
उसमें
or I am
आपको
going to
कुछ
do,
निंदा
is it
करना है
influenced by
या
Ragadvesh?
कुछ आक्रमण
Let's
करना
say
है
somebody sends you an
तब
email
आप उसका
and
जवाब देते हैं
criticizes you,
तो
and
समझिए
now
कि
you are replying to that
मैं
person.
इसलिए दे
So
रहा हूँ
then you should
कि ये मुझे
reflect
देना चाहिए
that,
इससे मेरा
am
लाभ
I
होगा या मैं
replying
इसलिए दे रहा हूँ कि मेरा
because I
अंतकरण
should
में द्वेष
reply
है
and it is beneficial to me, or am I
हमारे अलग
replying
सोचना पड़ेगा कोई
because
और दूसरा आदमी
I am under the
मैं
control
जिस
of
वजह से
dvesha?
ये वाक्य बोल
So
रहा हूँ
you yourself have to reflect
मैं
that nobody
किसके
else will
प्रभाव से
come
बोल
to
रहा
tell
हूँ
you.
क्या
You
वास्तव
have
में
to
मैं
reflect that whatever I am speaking to such person,
या चुप
am I
रहना
speaking
चाहिए
out of ragadvesh? Should I
तो
speak
हमें
like this, or should I remain quiet?
हर पल
So every moment
जागरूकता बना के
we
रखना
have to
चाहिए
maintain
कि
our
लुटो ना
awareness
नहीं तो हम लुटते
to be
जाएंगे
safe,
डाकू हमारा
to stay
सामान
safe
लूटते
from
जाएंगे
this raga dvesh. Otherwise, these two criminals, raga and dvesh, they will plunder our entire wealth,
आते आते
because they are
हमारे
inside
ऊपर से
us.
अरे ये डाकू आ गया मैं अपना धन
They are
कैसे
not
सुरक्षित
coming
करूं
from outside. Because if criminals come from outside, you may plan that how I will protect myself. But raga dvesh are
इसलिए
seated within,
जागरूक
and
रहना
they are
चाहिए
continuously plundering
तो
us.
जब भी कोई
So
भी
you
निर्णय
have to
लें
remain extra
थोड़ा
aware.
विचार करें और फिर
So
निर्णय के
for
बाद
every
क्या करना है
decision
उस पर भी देखें
that you
फिर
take,
से
first of
पुनर्विचार
all,
करें
you should sit and ponder
ये कठिन पड़
that
सकता है आरंभ में लेकिन ये
have
बहुत
I
लाभदायक
again
होगा
fallen under the control of
कोई
Ragadvesh?
आपको गाली
So
गलौज
initially it
करे
may be very
गुस्सा आए
difficult for you to implement this, but it will be highly beneficial.
ये गुस्सा
If
जो है
somebody criticizes
किस
you,
कारण दे रहा हूँ क्या याद
uses
दिलाना
bad
चाहता
words
हूँ
against you, so you become angry, and then you should reflect
अनिवार्यता से कि क्या
that,
मैं
can I stop this
चुप हो
anger?
जाऊंगा दूसरा व्यक्ति सोचेगा कि अरे ये
So
क्या
then
बोल
you
रहा
may
है
feel that, oh,
इसको
I will
कंट्रोल
be
नहीं कर सकता
regarded as a weak person if I
जब
control my
आप अपने
anger,
ऊपर नियंत्रण रख लेते
and the
हैं
other person will
तब
think I am
आपको
a
पता
fool.
चलेगा कि आपको
But
स्वयं
then
कैसे
when
बचाना है
you actually
ये
control
स्थिति
yourself, then you will realize how your
कल ही
strength
मैं यही सोच रहा
increases.
था कि कोई ऐसे
But
करेगा
people do not want to
तो
do
यही
like
करना
this.
चाहिए
So yesterday somebody was asking me, if
तो
somebody
आप
behaves
शांत
like
रहो
this, what should I
फिर
do?
भी चुप रहो
So I said,
शांत
you
रहो
remain quiet.
नहीं तो
So then
अगली
the
बार
other
फिर
person
सोचेगा
said,
कि
but if he
ये
continues,
बेकार है
so I
करने वाला
replied, no, still you remain quiet. Then he said that, but then he will think that I am incapable.
आपको अपना
So then I
गोल
said, no, let him
देखना है कि
think.
आपको यहाँ लड़ाई लड़नी है
So you have to see your own
युद्ध का
goal.
मैदान
What
नहीं
is
है
your goal?
कि हम दूसरों से युद्ध युद्ध का मैदान है तो इनसे युद्ध का मैदान है आपका युद्ध राग द्वेष से है
Our war is
बाहर
not with all these
जो भी
people in the
खारापन है वो
society.
आपके अंदर
Our
भीतर है
war is against
जब कोई लड़ता
Ragadvesh.
है और आपको
When
गुस्सा आता है तो
people are
हो
criticizing
सकता है कि
you
आपके अंदर
and then you become
द्वेष का
angry,
राग बैठा
so
हो
that person is simply
इसलिए उससे
showing
तुलना
you
मत करो
that, see, there is Ragadvesh inside you, that's why you are
ऐसे लोगों
becoming
से
angry. So you do not become angry on that person. You
उससे
reflect
लाभ
on
नहीं होगा
yourself,
उससे
on
किसी
your own
चीज कुछ
Ragadvesh.
भी लाभ नहीं होगा
And then, but you do not do
उससे
that,
हानि होगी
and then you
कि आपका जो
reply
द्वेष
to
का
that person,
संस्कार है राग
and
का
then
संस्कार
what
है
will
वो
happen
मजबूत हो
is
जाएगा
your samskara of raga dvesh will become even stronger. That means
उसको
by
टॉनिक मिल जाएगा
replying like this, by behaving like
वो
this,
पूछेगा देखो
you are strengthening
इसने
your
मेरी
raga
बात
dvesh.
मान ली जैसे डिजिटल
and the raga dvesh will
उससे
be
हाँ
dancing,
अपना खुश होता है,
seeing that this person
इसके
is
बाद
under my under our control.
अब मैं
He
दूसरी
has
साइड
become
पे
our
आता हूँ,
puppet.
और उसके बाद तो
So
आराम है,
this is how the criminals they
पूरा
work
पैसा
in
खत्म
digital
हो
arrest.
जाता है,
Slowly, slowly
और
they plunder all your wealth, and they keep scaring
आप
you more and more,
कमजोर हो जाते
and
हैं,
then your mind
आपका
becomes
पैसा
weaker
खत्म
and
हो
weaker
जाएगा,
because
तो
you lost your money also,
कंपैरिजन पैदा हो जाएगा,
and then now you
तो
are
आप
bewildered.
और कमजोर होते चले जाते
So
हैं
then
धीरे
you
धीरे।
become weaker and weaker.
लेकिन अगर आप खड़े हो जाएंगे कि नहीं, मेरे को राग द्वेष के से प्रभावित
But
होकर काम नहीं
if
करना
you
है,
say stay
तो
strong
आपके अंदर
and
शांति आ
and
जाएगी,
determined,
आपको एकदम
and you are
शांति
determined
आनंद की
that
स्थिति
no,
में
I will not be under the control of raga
शायद
dvesh,
किसी
then you will
जगह
feel
पे
immense
बैठे
pleasure
हैं,
within. Like suppose you be,
तो
you
इस
escape
प्रकार से आपका
from the digital arrest
आपका
criminals.
आपका
So
मन
how
शांत
happy
हो
you
जाएगा।
feel?
तो
You feel stronger.
ये हमारे जीवन में जीने की कला है,
So this
जो
is the
भगवान
art
श्री
of
कृष्ण
living.
भगवत गीता में हमको सिखा रहे हैं।
That
क्योंकि
what
राग
Bhagavan is
द्वेष
teaching us in Bhagavad
इसी के
Gita.
अंदर बैठे हुए हैं, कोई
Because
किसी
this
को नहीं
raga
जानता,
dvesh, these
लेकिन
two
सबके
criminals are
अंदर
seated inside
जो
everybody.
मुक्त पुरुष
There
लोग
is
हैं उनके भीतर है।
nobody in this world
लेकिन
except
एक
the
आम व्यक्ति
Jivan
है, एक
Muktas
आम
who
व्यक्ति
are
है,
free from raga dvesh.
मैं इस संसार में मैं नहीं
So
जानता,
more or
होंगे
less
या नहीं
everyone
होंगे,
is
उनको छोड़ के
an ordinary person
जिनके अंदर
only.
राग द्वेष बैठा हुआ
Jivan
है,
Muktas are extremely
उनको
rare.
इनसे बचना
So
है,
every person
इनसे
has
दूर रहना
to
है।
protect
लेकिन जब
himself
आप
or herself from raga
नहीं
dvesh.
करते हैं,
If you want your benefit, you have to do this.
दशरथ माता पिता की
Otherwise,
मंगल
what
आरती करते
happens? We
हैं,
do japa,
लेकिन राग द्वेष से
16
दूर रहते
rounds,
हैं,
Mangal Arti, we do all these
साधना
activities,
कीजिए,
but we do not
लेकिन
focus on
राग
this
द्वेष को
raga
छोड़ने नहीं
dvesh.
देंगे,
Our focus is
तो
on
राग द्वेष का
sadhana,
असर
but
नहीं होगा।
not on this raga dvesh. Then that sadhana
मैं
does not
बहुत दिन से
give
जप कर रहा हूँ,
proper
कुछ नहीं
result.
होता,
Then we
मेरे को
complain
पता
that
नहीं,
I have been doing japa from a long
मैं
time,
कहता हूँ तो क्या
but
करते हैं,
I don't see any result.
गीता तो आपने
So
पढ़ी
how
है,
will you see result?
और आप
You
बार
have
बार
not
कहेंगे
studied Gita,
गोविंद लीलामृत,
and you are talking about
तो
Govind
राग द्वेष
Lilamrit.
उन लोगों के लिए जो राग द्वेष से परे हैं,
Govind Lilamrit is for people who are beyond Ragadvesh. That is Bhagwan's
वो लोग गीता
Leela.
नहीं पढ़ते।
People do not study Gita.
तो ये बहुत प्रायोगिक ज्ञान हम भगवान हमको दे रहे हैं, हमारे लिए दे रहे हैं, किसी और के लिए थोड़े दे रहे हैं।
So Bhagavan is giving such practical knowledge.
और उन्होंने ये भी कह दिया कि जो मेरा ये मत नहीं मानता है, तो सर्व ज्ञान विमूढ़ान्तान विद्धि नष्टान चेतस, वो तो नष्ट है, वो नष्ट हो गए। अब ये मत सोचना कि नहीं हम तो भगवान के भक्त हैं, हम तो रोज गीता पढ़ते हैं, हम तो
So you can say that no, I am a devotee, I daily read Gita.
वही कर रहे हैं।
But you may read, but do you actually understand that and do you actually
तो इस
implement what is
राग
being told
द्वेष
in
से दूर
Gita?
करना,
So
जो कि मूल
to
समस्या है,
become free from
असल में
Ragadvesh, which
कोई
is the
समस्या नहीं है,
main problem.
समस्या यही है कि हम इनके वश में हो जाते हैं।
There is no other problem. Our only problem in life is being under the
तो
control
तीसरा
of
ये है
Ragadvesh.
जो मैं कहना चाहता था
The other point
कि
what I wanted to
यहाँ
speak is
स्वभाव की
that
बात आई है
here Bhagavan is speaking about Swabhava
और इस राग द्वेष से मुक्त होने की बात आई है।
and to be free
ये एक
from
तरीका
Ragadvesh.
है जो मैंने बताया,
So one is this method
वास्तव
that
में
I
कर्म
said.
योग का तरीका है, लेकिन ये सबको
This
कर्म
is
योग में
actually a Karma
आसान है,
Yoga, but it is
और
useful
इसका
for
जो भक्ति
everyone.
मार्ग है
And in
उसमें
our
एक
path
और
of
तरीका है,
bhakti, in that path,
और वो
there
ये
is
है
one more
कि आपका स्वभाव जो है वो
method
तो आप बदल नहीं
that
सकते,
you
लेकिन
cannot
उस
change
स्वभाव
your
में सेवा भाव
Swabhava,
लाइए।
but in your Swabhava, you should bring
आप
Seva
क्षत्रिय हैं,
Bhav.
आप ब्राह्मण हैं, आप
You may be a
इंजीनियर
Kshatriya,
हैं,
Brahmana,
आप
IT engineer,
विज्ञानी हैं,
or
आप
housewife,
बिजनेसमैन हैं,
or businessman,
आप राजनेता हैं, कुछ
or
भी
a
हैं,
politician, or
जिस
whatever
काम
you
को
are,
आप कर रहे हैं,
that is,
लेकिन
you are
उसमें
doing
अगर
that by your
आपका
Swabhava.
सेवा भाव
But in
है,
that Swabhava, add Seva Bhav, the service mentality.
तो उसमें जब आपका सेवा भाव आ जाएगा तो ये राग द्वेष निकल जाएगा,
So when you will get the Seva Bhav, then
क्योंकि
your Raga
सेवा
Dvesh will
राग
go
द्वेष
away.
दोनों साथ साथ नहीं
Because
चल सकते,
Seva and Raga Dvesh both
अगर आप
cannot
सेवा
live
करेंगे राग
together.
द्वेष से नहीं कर
If
सकते,
you
इसलिए
are
हम कोशिश
doing
करते हैं कि
Seva,
राग
you
द्वेष से
actually
दूर
cannot
रहें,
do Seva by Raga Dvesh. Because if you have Dvesh towards
और
somebody, how can
सेवा
you do
में
Seva for
किसी
that
में राग
person?
मत लाइए,
And even if you are doing Seva, you should not bring Raga in your
सेवाओं के
Seva.
विशेष रूप
Because
से
what happens is, especially in
सेवा
the
जो है,
path of Bhakti,
अब सेवा के लिए
people
कुछ
do
पैसा
Seva.
चाहिए, धन चाहिए,
For Seva, you need
तो उसको हम
wealth,
दूसरों से
you
नहीं
need
ले सकते,
some instruments or something. you
फिर उसके
get
बाद वो
them
कहते हैं कि
from
इतने भगवान की
others,
सेवा करनी है, इतना
and
पैसा
then you
देना है,
say
फिर उनको
that I
देना
want
है,
to do
उसके बाद
seva,
उनको
so give me so much money,
लेकिन अगर
life
आपके मन
membership,
में सेवा
donation, I
भाव
have to
ही
make
नहीं है,
temple. But
अपने अंदर
if you have, if
नहीं
you
किया है,
have, do
आप
not have strong seva bhav
तो क्या करेंगे, लेकिन
in
साधु
you,
संग से
I
आपको
mean, you cannot generate it, you can only
सेवा
acquire it
भाव
by sadhu sangha. So
प्रस्फुटित नहीं होगा
if
है।
seva bhava has not
तो
arisen, has not appeared in your
सेवा के
chitta,
नाम पे जितने भी
then
जितने
what will
भी
happen is in the name of seva,
अहंकार का
whatever
भाव
you are
है,
procuring, in,
वो
then
आपको
that will
उसमें
simply
दिखाई देगा कि
nourish
मैंने
your
ये
own
किया,
ahankara, and you
लेकिन
will feel pleasure
मैंने ये
that I
किया है
did this or I did that, I achieved this, I
बहुत
made such
सारे
a
लोगों
big
को
temple,
प्रवण कर दिया,
I
बहुत सारे
distributed
संतों
so
को
many
प्रवण
books,
कर दिया,
I wrote so many
ये
books,
मैंने
I
ये
made so
किया,
many disciples, I opened so
ये
many
पुरस्कार
temples,
दिए मैंने,
I gave so many
तो
lectures,
ये
I
मैंने
read Gita so many times. So this is all about I.
सूक्ष्म बात है,
So there is no seva. This is a very subtle
वहां
point.
कोई भक्ति वक्ति नहीं होती है,
There is no bhakti in this.
वो एक भक्त्याभास है,
This is just an abhas of
वो
bhakti.
देखने में लगती है,
It appears like
वो
bhakti,
भक्ति
but
का
it is
भाव
not
नहीं है, ये
bhakti.
ये
And
देखने
those
में
who do
लगता है,
not know what is bhakti,
लेकिन
they
उसके
will be
पीछे
misled into
वास्तविक
thinking that this person is a great bhakta. But that is just an
भक्ति
abhas.
एक भाव है,
Because bhakti is a
भक्ति मतलब
bhav.
सेवा भाव है।
And bhakti means
जब तक
seva
आपके
bhav.
अपने हृदय में ये बिल्कुल निश्चय नहीं होता
So
है कि
until
मैं
and
भगवान
unless
का सेवक हूँ
you are
और मैं
have
केवल उसके लिए
strong
ही कर रहा हूँ,
understanding, conviction in your heart that I am
तो
a
क्या अंदर ऐसा
servant
भाव
of
होगा, कैसे
Bhagavan.
पता चलेगा आपको
People speak like this,
कि
but
क्या
do
आप
you
कृष्ण के
strongly
सेवक
feel
होते
this
हैं
within
या फिर
yourself?
आपकी सेवा की प्रशंसा करते हैं तब प्रसन्नता होती है,
So
और
you have
प्रशंसा
to
करने
check,
के लिए आपका
do
हृदय
you
होना
feel
चाहिए।
pleasure when you get seva
अगर आप
or do you feel
चाहते
pleasure
हैं
when
कि
people
भगवान
glorify
हमारे
your
सेवक हो,
seva?
लोग शिकायत करते हैं ऐसे,
Many people even complain
उनको तो
that
देखा नहीं, देखो मैंने इतना किया और मुझे
nobody
कोई
is
नहीं
giving
देख
me
रहा है,
attention, I did so much, but the other
आपने किया नहीं
person
तो
got
क्या
the
करें,
credit. So let that other person take the credit. You
आपको
will
क्रेडिट
get
किससे
credit
चाहिए,
from
किसके
Bhagavan.
नीचे चाहिए,
You want credit from the human society or
इसके
you
लिए
want
कोई
credit from
वैल्यू
Bhagavan?
नहीं है,
This credit from human beings is
भक्ति
useless.
में इसकी कोई मान्यता नहीं है कि आपने
There is
कितना
no
किया
use
और
of all this
कितना
credit in
पुरस्कार
bhakti.
मिला,
There is no use of all this, how many temples you made, how many
भक्ति में
books
मात्र
you
ये
wrote,
है
how many
कि
disciples
कितना
you
ज्ञान
made.
प्राप्त किया,
In bhakti, the only important factor
वास्तविक
is
सेवा
how
का
much
भाव
bhakti
ही यही है,
bhav you have
सेवा भाव
acquired.
नहीं है तो सेवा कैसे
And
होगी,
that
काम
bhakti
थोड़ी है,
bhav means seva bhav.
वो आप बाहर कर
Without
सकते हैं,
seva, what is bhakti? That is just
वेशभूषा बदल
calm.
ली,
What you were doing earlier,
लेकिन
now you
अंदर
are doing
भक्ति
same
नहीं
thing
है,
by changing your dress.
तो ये जो
But you are
अहंता है,
simply nourishing your ahankara
या
only.
फिर राग द्वेष
So this
इत्यादि,
ahamta, what I spoke
ये
of earlier, the
स्थूल
I-ness,
स्तर पर
where
रहता
there
है,
is ragadvesh. So ragadvesh is lying very, very deep inside that. So it
वो
doesn't
बार बार उठकर
go
आता है,
away, come out so easily. It
ऐसे ही
will
जैसे च्युइंगम,
appear again and
जितना
again.
आप
It's like chewing gum.
चर्वण कीजिए
No matter
उसको छोड़ना नहीं है,
no matter how much you keep chewing it,
अहंकार
it
की
keeps
गति यही
sticking.
है, भक्ति में
So
क्या होता
ahankar
है,
is like that.
शरणागति,
That's why in
और
bhakti,
कहा
the
गीता में
first
कहा
step
गया है,
is
भगवान
sharanagati.
महापुरुष कहते हैं
Why?
तस्मात् गुरुम प्रपद्येत, क्योंकि अगर शरणागति नहीं हुई है तो क्या है, आपका अहंकार है, अहंकार से आप जप कीजिए, अहंकार से आप
So
मूर्ति
if there
पूजा
is no
कीजिए,
Sharanagati, you may do japa out of Ahankara, you may do deity service out of Ahankara, you may clean the temple out of Ahankara, you may make temple out of
कैसे
Ahankara.
चलेगा इसको,
So that is just Ahankara, which the ordinary person will not understand, and even you yourself may not understand.
समाप्त हो गया,
You may
इसलिए
start
हम
get bewildered thinking that
इसलिए
I am a great
भक्ति
bhakta. But in bhakti, the
साइकोलॉजी है,
parameter is different.
साइकोलॉजी मनोविज्ञान है,
That's why
जिससे
bhakti is the
गहरा मनोविज्ञान
deepest
होता है,
psychology. There is no psychology that is deeper than
ये सब
bhakti.
मनोविज्ञान,
What Bhagavan is teaching is all
इस
psychology.
स्तर का मनोविज्ञान आपको कहीं
This level of psychology will not be
नहीं
seen
मिलेगा
elsewhere.
हमारे शास्त्रों
What
में,
you see in Gita,
क्योंकि
in
हम
Bhagavatam,
समस्या है जो
in our
चल रही है
Shastras.
उसकी
Because
अभिष्ट
here, our
उसको
Shastras, they attack the root problem, which is
बाहर
the
कोई नहीं जानता
not
इसको, हमारे
Chit
शास्त्रों के
Jad.
सिवा और कोई नहीं जानता है इसको,
Other than our Vedic
इस
Shastras,
ग्रंथि को
nobody
खोलना
else
पड़ेगा,
knows this.
विधावन,
Our Vedic Shastras, they teach how to uproot or
वो
cut
जब तक नहीं
that
कटेगी,
knot.
उस पर जब तक आकर
Until and
जो
unless
आप
that knot
आध्यात्मिक
is cut,
साधना कर रहे हैं वो सब
no
आपको
matter how
डिस्टर्ब
much
करेगा,
sadhana you do, it is
और
simply
इसलिए
nourishing your ahankar.
तो इसलिए
It has no other
ये जो
result.
सेवा भाव है, ये
So that is why this seva bhav,
इसको प्राप्त करना ये सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज
in
है,
order to acquiring this seva bhav is the most important thing.
इसमें कोई आवश्यक
And everybody can acquire this seva bhav. It does not depend on how much wealth you have, or you have to do this much japa or that. Anybody in any situation can acquire seva bhav. So these two processes are there, and the sadhaka should do both. One is to remain aware about raga and dvesh, and later when you will get seva bhav, this raga dvesh will leave you automatically. You will see that they will be running away from you. But till you reach that stage, you have to take help. So in Karma Yoga, it is very important, but in Bhakti Yoga also it is important. Although Bhakti does not depend on anything, but to acquire Bhakti is very difficult. That is why we should take help from all sides so that we remain focused on our goal. So, whatever swabhava one has, whatever swabhava we have, we can do seva with that swabhava. It is not compulsory that you have to be a pujari only or do seva in such and such place or department only. Bhagavan is everywhere. Wherever you are, you can do seva. In any situation, you can do seva. And no, there cannot be any obstacle to that. So, we will stop here. If you have any question, you can ask. Question, you said that body, we get body from the bhav, from the mental state. So this mental state, can we change it by our power, or the future will change? Answer, this world is works in cycle, it's a chakra. We get the feeling in the mind, according to that we do karma, then there is samskara again, then bhava, then we have desire, we do karma, and then we get again the sanskaras. Like this the cycle rotates. So at every step you have to work, at every step you have to change your actions. The main thing is your samskaras, but samskaras are coming from outside only, not from inside. So the vasanas, they come from samskaras, and then there are more samskaras. When we work according to the samskaras, then we get more of that samskara.
नवदीप जी का प्रश्न है, हमें हानिकारक आदतों को त्यागना,
why do we struggle to give up harmful habits despite knowing their consequences? For example, smoking being injurious to health. Why do attachment or raga and aversion or dvesh overpower our intelligence even when we are aware of the outcomes? If we pray to Sri Hari, can he remove our inclinations towards sinful desires, especially when we find ourselves unable to renounce them despite knowing their harm?
तो वो हावी इसलिए हो जाते हैं क्योंकि हमने उनको हावी होने दिया।
Answer, they overpower us because we have allowed them to overpower us. Like I said earlier, that any person is not a smoker from birth. Any person who is born, he drinks his mother's breast milk. For that, the child does not have to practice. But for smoking, the person has to practice. And when any person starts smoking, he does not like that. He gets burning sensation in his mouth, his eyes start burning, he may start coughing, but still he continues doing that. So then he becomes addicted to that. He becomes habituated. So now you have acquired this raga, how will it leave you? You have only given birth to this raga. Now you want to throw it away. It will come back to you only. No? If you have a pet dog, child with still may have ahankara and may not come back. But suppose you have a pet dog. Now you take care of the pet dog nicely for few years, and now you want that pet dog to leave you. Will it leave you? Even if you kick him out, he will come back to you. Even if you beat him, he will come back to you, because you only have cared that dog. Similarly, you only have cared for this raga and dvesh. They are your pet dogs. So then they won't leave you. Where will they leave? Where will they go leaving you? This is what we feel like this. But then we have to work hard to give up this raga dvesh, and you cannot say that I'm incapable. If you think like this, then you cannot leave. You should always think that I am capable of getting rid of this raga dvesh, but I may take some time because I have given shelter to them for a long time. But ultimately, these raga dvesh are samskaras only. They do not have any inherent power. You are empowering them. You fed the dog. Similarly, so with lot of determination, you have to work to get rid of this. In Gita, Bhagavan teaches to practice, but the problem is although we pray to Bhagavan, but internally we maintain our attachment, but we do not pray honestly.
धीर ललित जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
Radhe Babaji, thanks for this amazing class, teasing out all these deeper meanings that we normally miss. You spoke about rag and dvesh that is necessary, and I can appreciate that point. And then you spoke of rag and dvesh that is born due to our own creations. Then and it's quite a bruise to the ego that we are actually maintaining it. But then we use the same term rag on the spiritual side. Now, from the yogic perspective, they say samatam yoga uchate. We don't have any attachments, good or bad. We equal up to everything. But on the bhakti side, we have a liking. We're developing a specific rag. So similarly, is there an equivalent dvesh on the spiritual side that is a healthy form or not? Please, can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, dvesh, better you don't get into that, because you will mix that dvesha with your material dvesha. Because we are familiar only with material raga and material dvesha. So now if I say yes, there is a dvesha also, then you will start doing dvesha. So best is that you cultivate only raga, and dvesha will happen naturally. Don't bother about it. But as far as practice is concerned, then we avoid those who are against अनुकूल्यस्य संकल्प प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम. तो प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम, जो प्रतिकूल है उसको छोड़ना, यही द्वेष है. कोई भगवान की निंदा करता है, गुरु की निंदा.
If somebody criticizes Bhagavan, somebody criticizes Guru, so we should stay away from that. That dvesha is natural. If you have love for somebody, how can you hear his criticism? But if I tell, yeah, you have to do dvesh, then you will bring your material dvesh there.
मुझे तो आपने बताया भगवत गीता जब पढ़ते हैं हम समझना भी चाहिए.
So question, you said that when we study Gita, we should understand that also. We often read but do not absorb it. In Shankaracharya ji, in Bhaj-Govindam, he says about Gita. When he says little Gita, what is that little? So little, they answer little this only. If you can understand this one verse itself, what I explained today, if you understand this much itself, then that itself will give so much benefit in your life. So this is Kinchit only, this is one verse out of 700.
दिव्यनिताई जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
महाराज जी दंडवत प्रणाम. महाराज जी ये राग द्वेष के बारे में जो
Question.
प्रश्न है कि
So this
हम लोग
question about Raga Dvesh.
जैसे हमारे जीवन में जब हम लोग भक्तों के साथ में भी रहते हैं तो
In our life, when we live with
राग
devotees,
एक तरफ देखते हैं कि मैं
so
किसी की निंदा नहीं करनी चाहिए,
one side we see Raga Dvesh, we should not criticize anybody. But on other side, we see that if some devotee is not doing seva properly according to the standard, how do I understand I'm speaking out of Raga Dvesh? Or like we hear that we should speak to defend dharma, but we have to also see that we are not speaking out of Raga Dvesh. How do we discriminate when we should speak, when we should not speak? So answer, so whenever you are working, you have to always check, is it influenced by Raga Dvesh or no? So how do you understand? How do you discriminate? So one simple test is to check that whatever we have raga, when we do that, we get sukha, we get pleasure, and whatever we have dvesha, when we give it up, we feel pleasure. So you have to see when you are finding fault in somebody or criticizing, are you feeling the sense of pleasure within? If yes,
उस द्वेष के कारण ही कर रहे हैं.
then you are criticizing due to the dvesha, and same applies to raga also.
यही देखना क्योंकि
So this is what we have to check,
जो चीज अनुकूल
because I said that whatever is favorable to us, we have raga for that, and whatever is unfavorable for us, we have dvesh. So when we give up the unfavorable, we get pleasure, and when we acquire the favorable, we get pleasure. When we acquire the unfavorable, we get pain, and when we do not get what is favorable, we get pain. So the test is this, the feeling that we get within of pleasure and pain. What are you feeling? Other person cannot tell that. He may be bewildered thinking that this person is free from ragadvesh. But we should not depend on others, their praise, their criticism. We do not rise or fall by that praise or criticism. We have to check ourselves that when we criticize others, what do we feel within? Or when somebody is criticizing somebody else and I am hearing that, am I getting pleasure or feeling pain, or I feel like going away from that place? That is the test.
जब हम देखते हैं तो फिर जैसे धर्म के कार्य हो रहे हैं कि अच्छी चीजों को सक्सेस मिल
So
रहा है,
question, when we see that when good things are being done for dharma and people are succeeding in actions of dharma, and I feel pleasure for that, and I feel pain when people are doing adharma. So is it ragadvesh? No, that is according to Shastra. First of all, our actions have to be according to Shastra. When we say we should not function by ragadvesh, that means first of all our actions should be according to Shastra. That is the first thing. So if somebody is doing something according to dharma and we feel happy, that is very good. And if somebody is doing adharma and we feel bad, so yeah, that is also correct, because we should not feel good seeing somebody doing adharma. So another question, as you said that seva bhav is one solution in the path of bhakti. So how do I understand that my seva bhava is increasing? So answer, first of all, you should acquire seva bhav. Acquiring seva bhav itself is a great challenge. I am not telling this to criticize somebody, but acquiring seva bhav is a very, very difficult job. Very advanced, even very, very advanced people, they may also have this defect of not having seva bhav. I am not telling this to criticize, but just to explain to everybody. This seva bhav can be acquired by somebody, only by somebody who is free from ragadvesh. One who has ragadvesh, he cannot do seva, because that person remains implicated in that ragadvesh only. That ragadvesh does not allow that person to do seva. But then we have to start somewhere. It is not that we wait that when they will go away, then only we will start doing seva. That's why we do sadhana. And Sri Rupa Goswami has divided, made three categories: sadhana, bhav, and prem. So we have to begin somewhere, and that is sadhana. Like if you see Ashtanga Yoga, you have to start with asana. You have to start at the bodily level, then you go deeper to pranayam. First Annamaya, then Pranamaya, then Mano, then you go to Manomaya. So similarly in Bhakti, first you start with sadhana, that is by senses, with body. You do this, that, do so many things that are prescribed. But the goal is to get the bhava, and that comes in the mind. So the bhava has to come to the mind. So you have to start with the sadhana. So first of all, understanding this is essential. Until and unless we understand this, we will not ever endeavor genuinely to acquire this. So first we understand this properly, and then we implement what we have learned with awareness, continuous awareness. That, let's say I did this arati, I remember, this is an old story. I was in the temple and there were three altars: Radha Krishna, Jagannath Ji, Gaurnitai, and three pujaris were there. So they're fighting who will do puja for Radha Krishna. I will do, you will do. So what does this mean? So you are doing arati, or whose arati? Your own arati or Bhagwan's arati? So even if you are blowing the conch, then there is competition. I blew conch for a little longer time. So I'm giving these practical examples. I am not telling all this to criticize anybody. I'm telling just to explain that how deep this raga dvesh is. So then you cannot get seva bhav with all this. So you will have simply have ahankara. You are leading the kirtan. So you will think like that only. I did better kirtan, I will do kirtan, you will do kirtan. So it does, in seva bhav is not like this. Seva bhav does not depend on this. Whether you are leading the kirtan or you are going along with the kirtan leader, bhava is bhava. But then you get implicated, we get implicated in all this in the name of transcendental competition. So that is not transcendental competition. There is no trans in that. It is dental competition. So this is a very subtle analysis. So question, on the path of bhakti, when we practice these angas of bhakti, as we keep practicing the angas of bhakti, if we have right association, they should remove our raga dvesh. Answer, so they will remove your raga dvesh if you are doing that bhakti to remove raga dvesh. But then if you are nourishing your raga dvesh by those same angas of bhakti, how will your raga dvesh go away? That's what I am trying to explain. People do this kirtan, vigraha seva, temple seva, and all these sevas not to remove raga dvesh, but rather to increase their raga dvesh. And that raga dvesh keeps increasing. So you have to check, I am doing seva of vigraha or I am using vigraha for my seva. I am doing kirtan, I am doing seva of kirtan or I am using kirtan for my own seva. People should glorify how nicely. Like I am doing, giving class on Gita. So am I doing this, giving this class for seva of Bhagavan for devotees, or how many people will glorify me? How nice lecture it was. I never heard this earlier. And then I ask people, how was my lecture? So why am I asking? So that people glorify me. So by that lecture, I am simply nourishing my raga and dvesh. I am not doing any seva then. So we have to understand this is all seva. Teaching Shastra is seva. Studying Shastra is seva. We are all sevak, we are servant only. Our entire existence is that of service,
ये दिमाग में
service
हमेशा
mentality, service mood.
बैठना नहीं, अंदर बैठना।
So this has this service, this understanding that we are servants, this has to become very deep rooted. Then we can do seva. Unless we have this deep understanding, where is seva?
ऐसे चलते हैं तो, लेकिन हमें इसको
Other then when we don't have this, then we just function mechanically. So we have to at least understand this, because people will praise us. Your class was very nice. So then we have to make ourselves understand that we should remain quiet. The body that we used for giving this class, that body belongs to Bhagavan only. What belongs to me? I use this body to give class, and the body belongs to class. So now if I start taking credit for all this what I do, then I will fall down. But if I remain aware that this is seva, then I will grow. Then bhakti will improve. So bhakti is a bhav. Bhav is very subtle. Bhav cannot be seen.
इसी के कारण जो आरंभ में ही रूप गोस्वामी जी कहते हैं कि
That is why in the beginning only Sri Rupa Goswami says that bhakti is sudurlabha, very very rare. Why did he say? He said this because understanding bhakti itself is so challenging. So you have to work very hard to understand bhakti. People say that bhakti is very easy. Bhakti is very easy. I say always that there is nothing more challenging than bhakti. Nothing more difficult than that. If you can understand bhakti theoretically, that itself is a great achievement.
हो गया?
मैंने सुना है कि भक्ति साधकों को दो
Question.
काम करने चाहिए।
I have heard that bhakti sadhakas should do two things. One is awareness towards recognizing their raga dvesh until and unless they get the bhav of seva. And the second is that whatever we do with a service mentality, understanding of seva, not being influenced by raga dvesh, not thinking that this will lead to my glorification, not with the understanding that my guru will praise me, just understanding that I am a servant, and it is my dharma to do seva, and I am doing that, and it is my great fortune that I am getting seva. So you should realize that how fortunate you are getting opportunity for seva, and just remaining happy having received that opportunity, not desiring happiness from anything else. That is anyabhilashita shunyam. If you desire happiness from anything other than the opportunity to get seva, then that is outside the realm of anyabhilashita shunyam. Then that is not bhakti.
प्रश्न है कि क्या यह अंतिम निष्कर्ष है कि हमें
Question:
राग और द्वेष
is this the final conclusion that we should not respect raga dvesh anymore? Answer: yes.
दीपक जी का प्रश्न है, बाबा जी गुरु महाराज जी कहते थे
Question:
कि सेवा तो
Maharaj ji used to say that seva is service, it is not work. Can you explain this in more detail? Answer: work means like you go to office, you just work there. You can say that is service. People say like that we are serving there, but actually it is not service, it is work, because you complete your job and it is holiday, it's over. But seva means this is my life. This seva is my life. I am not going to run away from that. When your work is over, you feel happy. But in case of seva, you feel happy when you are doing the seva. Not that I am out of seva and now I am free, liberated. We are sevak, and day and night we will do seva only.
परमानंद जी का प्रश्न है, क्या राग तथा
Next
द्वेष
question.
अहंकार में विचरण करते हैं?
Do raga and dvesh dwell in the ahankara? Answer: yes. Next question. When acting in our daily activities, we should add seva mentality into our activities. Does this mean we perform seva with activities we both like and dislike to do, thinking I will use this activity to serve Guru and Krishna? Answer: yes, this is the correct mentality.
प्रश्न है नवदीप जी का। ऐसा प्रतीत होता है कि
Question:
हमें
at times it seems that we must rely solely on our intelligence and determination and discrimination to free ourselves from attachment and aversion. Where does Sri Hari's kripa and karuna come into play in this process? So answer, I said that there are two ways. One is you try from your side, and then there will be kripa also, like Mother Yashoda binds Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So she is doing her effort, and kripa depends on Bhagavan. So kripa is not under your control. You just do what you are supposed to do. When Bhagavan is instructing that remain aware towards your own raga dvesh, try to recognize them, so work accordingly, and kripa is up to him.
मुझे ये अब तक समझ नहीं आया कि आपने
Question:
बताया कि
I did not understand. You said that body is acquired by the mental state.
है या
So mental state comes from the karma phala. Answer: new body is acquired after death. So in this life, whatever karmas you do, they create samskaras or no? So according to those samskaras, you get the next body.
मुझे ये समझ नहीं आता है कि मैं
So what I am not understanding is that when I change my manovritti, so manovritti changes, but there are many types of manovritti. But one is the base, what you have. Like for a bhakta, he may have many vrittis, but his base, his foundational vritti is seva to Bhagavan. He may be doing, so if somebody is a businessman, that is his foundational vritti. So you have to see what is your foundational, your base vritti on which your life rotates. So accordingly, you will get the next body.
भरत जी का प्रश्न है
Next
भाव
question.
से सेवा कार्य होता है या सेवा कार्य से भाव जन्म लेता है?
Bhav, for with bhav we do seva karya, or from seva karya we get bhav? Answer: it works both ways. If you have bhav, you will naturally do seva, and if you do not have bhav, you practice doing seva, that is sadhana. But when you get the bhav, you will just do seva only. What else will you do?
प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः। यच्छ्रेयः स्यात् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये। भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्।